Hey up folks, welcome to Sonofdel's life vlog on this, no, I've got to remember the date now. It's Tuesday and it's the 29th. 29th of August, yeah, I think it is, 29th of August. Can you believe there's only 2 days of August left? It is nuts. Anyway, coming up on my vlog today, I've got the unboxing of the August 2023 Jigsaw subscription service from Gibsons. I've got 2 book reviews for you. Cold Fire by Koontz and End of Watch by Stephen King. I've got a very long jigsaw gallery, as well as a lot of jigsaws which I had for my birthday and since, which I want to show you, which I'll be doing in future vlogs. And I've also got a last word which is split into 2. The first part is rise and the second last word is AI. All that to follow. But coming up first, I'm going to give you my jigsaw gallery because it is long. Yeah, so as you can see, I've been doing a lot of jigsaws. That's all I've been able to do really, because we've had some really atrocious weather. I'm not saying that we haven't had the odd period of sun, but when it's been sunny, it's also been very windy. Now, after I've showed my jigsaw gallery, as always, I will show you the jigsaws which I've had. And since I last spoke to you, I've aged, because my last vlog was on the 12th of July, and we're now at the end of August. So I've aged, I'm now 51, I was 51 on the 18th of July, and some of the jigsaws that I had for my birthday, I'm going to show you now, including this one. We'll start with this one. This one's called Rocket Launch, and this one's actually on my vlog because I've already done it. This one's called Rocket Launch, it's by Hey Puzzles, and it was bought for me by Sarah and Janet Hoddle, who are our very good friends, families down in Leicester. They came up to see me for my birthday, well, just before my birthday in June. And that's one of the jigsaws. It's a Hay 1000 piece and it's called Rocket Launch. Now, second jigsaw I had, this one was from a very good friend of ours called Janet Hoddle, who next door to us, my friend Tony lives, and it's his mum, and she never forgets my birthday. And I don't know if you can see that right because the light's shining on it. Yeah, you can't ever do that. There you go. And it's basically loads and loads of monuments from all around the world by night. It's a fantastic jigsaw, I can't wait to do that one. It's a Ravensburger one again, another 1,000-piece jigsaw. Now another one which I had was off Sarah and Janet again from down in Leicester. And this one I'm looking forward to because I do like these swords. It's a panoramic one and it spells the word, as you can see, space. S-P-A-C-E. And as you can see, it's a 1,000-piece again. And it's a Clementoni, this one, which is another fantastic brand of jigsaws, to be honest with you. You've got Clementoni, you've got Ravensburger, you've got Jumbo. And very recently, a new one I've discovered, but I'll tell you more about that in a second. Now, these 4 jigsaws come out, and I've actually bought these myself. Now, there's 12 in this in the set, which you will understand, because they're actually horoscope signs. And they're by a company called Santoro London. Now, Santoro London are famous for doing fantastic drawings of gorgeous Gorjus. And it's basically this like a little doll-like woman in different poses and stuff. My wife's got lots of the stamps and she makes cards with them. So does Sarah down in Leicester. And they bought out a set of 12 jigsaw puzzles based on the birth signs. Now, the first one, obviously I had to get my own, which was Cancer. Now, if I go close like that, you'll be able to see how much detail's in that. I know there's a bar in the middle, a light bar. I can't do much about that. But there's Cancer. That's the first one. Now, of course, the second one I had to get was my wife's birth sign, which is Scorpio. Again, as you can see, if I tilt it like that, look at the detail on it. The detail on it is absolutely stunning. I fell in love with these as soon as I saw them, to be honest with you. And they're £19 each on Amazon, which I don't think's bad, because at the end of the day, they are unique. You won't get many jigsaws like this. Now, the third one I had to get was for my dear old mum who passed away. Her birth sign was Pisces. So I got her Pisces, as you can see. That one's Pisces. They're all the same. They're all the same. They're all by the same company, Santoro London. And this one I've already done. Now, the reason I got Libra is because Deb's dad, who passed away, my father-in-law, brilliant guy, his birth sign was Libra. So I got... And I've completed that, right, yeah, completed that one. That one's on my jigsaw list as well, as you've seen from the gallery. Now, each of them, I can show you, because I've got one of them open. I'll just get it open first, hold on, bear with me a minute. What I like about them is around the outside, you've got quotes, and this one says, "An oasis of calm in the chaos of life, balance is key. Anything for a quiet life finds happiness in harmony." And it's basically got lots of words attached to it which you associate with that particular birth sign. Like this one's artistic, sweet, flirtatious, friendly, social, stylish. You know, so each of them's got their own. Now, obviously they come in a bag, which you know about, 1,000-piece puzzle, but they also come with, and this is what I absolutely love, is it comes with a cracking poster, so you can do the jigsaw. And what I also like about it, with it being part of the Zodiacs, on the back of each one of them is a list of all the others that are available. And obviously there's 12. There's 12 of them because there's 12 Zodiac signs. They were trying to introduce a 13th one not long ago, but I don't think they got away with it. I think too many people complained. They were supposed to be chucking another birth sign in the middle or something, which would have thrown everybody out completely. But they are from a company called, like I say, Santoro London. I got them off Amazon for £19 each. Now, when I'd finished the Libra one, I actually posted it on my Instagram, and Santoro London actually liked the post and said, "These look absolutely stunning, glad you like them," etc, etc. I will say one thing, when you first start doing them, the pieces are a bit tricky to stay together. They don't always stay together. You have to build pieces around them to hold them in place, but once they're in place, once the jigsaw's completed, you can literally, you know, move it sideways, up and down, etc, all you want. You can't pick it up, don't get me wrong, you can't pick it up, it will fall to bits. But they are really, really decent for what they are. I mean, I absolutely love them, and I've got 3 more to do, so they'll be on future vlogs anyway. Now, a couple more, yeah? Now, I got these off the range. Now, I don't usually buy off the range because their jigsaws tend to be a little bit, yeah, not too brilliant. I mean, I've had a few in the past, and I had a shaped puzzle a while ago, and when I posted a picture of it on Instagram, I actually got accused of stealing the image from somebody, and I had to explain that I hadn't stolen the image, I'd actually bought the product off the range. Now, they're two really good jigsaws. Now, as you might know, I'm mad on Cornwall. I love anything to do with Cornwall, anything to do with down there. I want to live there eventually. Obviously, at the moment, I live in Blackpool, but I want to live there eventually. And when I saw that they got the John Speed Historical Counties jigsaws, I was over the moon. Because this is a historical jigsaw, 1,000 pieces of Cornwall. And although it's not a branded jigsaw, one that I know about, it's from All Jigsaw Puzzles, and it's part of the cartography collection, and they've got some really cool maps on there. If you want a map of your county from years ago, you know, from 1800s, 1700s, whatever, go on, and there's so much detail on the maps, it's incredible. But that's part of the cartography collection. Now, this one I got because Deb absolutely loved it. She saw it and she fell in love with it. Now, she loves anything to do with mushrooms, not the magic kind, I'm not talking that, but this one is a vintage puzzle, and I've never heard of the company. The company who make it are called, let me just get this right, Hinkler, and it's all different mushrooms. As you can see, it's all different mushrooms, different shapes and sizes of mushrooms, and I think that's pretty cool actually, because I like them, because they're very similar to the ones I used to do off the internet, Eurographics. They do jigsaws very similar to that. If ever you want a jigsaw with some weird cool designs on, go to Eurographics and have a look at their puzzles. Their 1,000-piece puzzles are amazing. Now, this one I got given to me by my sister. She sent me a picture and said, have you got this one? Well, I haven't got it, and it's the kind of jigsaw my mum used to buy out of studio and places like that, Christmas catalogues, because they were always sort of unbranded and they always had express gifts written on the side of them. And it's a 1,000-piece one called At the Airport. Sorry, I've got hiccups. At the airport, and as you can see, there's a lot going on and it's a bit of a catastrophe. A bit of a disaster one, that one is, and it's called At the Airport. So I'm looking forward to doing that. It's a nice cartoony one. So yeah, those are my jigsaws for this month, which is quite a lot really when you think about it in 6 weeks. Now, coming up, I've got the review for the August 2023 Gibsons Jigsaw Puzzle subscription. Right, in my last vlog I told you I was going to stop having the Gibsons jigsaws because I got bored with them. I got bored with the jigsaws, the style, the quality. I didn't really think much of them at all. And I sent him an email. Now, unfortunately, I've signed up for a 12-month subscription, which is fair enough. I can understand. I'm not like in a mood because of that or nothing. And I'm glad I didn't cancel in some respects, or I'm glad they didn't cancel me, because they sent me a jigsaw this month that I really love. And it's the first one for a long time. Now, it's not their usual square box ones. This one is actually called Underwater World. It's an art file. Now, if you have a look at it, the detail on it, it's absolutely amazing. It's got jellyfish there, as you can see, but then it's got all these different sorts of fish all around it. And I'm well looking forward to doing that. It's so beautiful. It really is beautiful. And if you can see the piece of picture properly on the back, it's there. And as you can see, there's so much detail in it, it's nuts. And I couldn't believe it. So there I am going to cancel. Luckily, I couldn't cancel because I've got to be on 12 months and I've only been on about 4. And they send a jigsaw like this to make it, you know, and it's like, wow, I'm glad they didn't cancel me now. So I've ended up with a fantastic jigsaw called Underwater World. And that's a 1,000-piece art file Gibsons jigsaw. And that's the Gibsons Jigsaw subscription service for August 2023. Okay, book review time. I've got a couple of books to review for you. The first one is Dean Koontz's Cold Fire, and the second one is Stephen King's End of Watch. I'll start with Cold Fire. Now, I've got this on my Kindle because a long time ago I purchased a load of Dean Koontz books on my Kindle. They were doing some offer on them and I downloaded them all onto my Kindle. And I was reading this one, and it has taken me a couple of 3 months to read this because it was on Kindle, and I don't usually pick up my Kindle that often at the moment. I'm going to start doing, but I didn't. Now, I like the story how it started off, because it started off with a guy who basically will wake up in the morning and within half an hour he might suddenly get an intuition that he's got to be 4 states over. It's American, by the way. You've got to be 4 states over at a certain time in order to save a boy's life, or in order to save a man's life or a woman's life. And this goes on for about the first 20-30 pages. Now, of course, into it comes this woman reporter who at first wants to report on him. She wants to know all about him and make a big story of it and be dead famous. But at the same time, while this guy's getting these like visions, he's also, these messages, these subliminal messages things, he's also having nightmares about a windmill and an old farmhouse and something. And once this woman gets with him, she starts noticing that she's having dreams of these weird arse entity creatures in them, like horrible monster things. Now, at first, I thought it was going to be a nice supernatural film and good supernatural thriller. It isn't supernatural. Then I thought it was going to be an alien abduction thing because it led down that path. That this windmill was this beacon, and there was a spaceship underneath the lake and this farmland and everything. And I thought it was going to be that, but it's neither of those two things. And this is a spoiler alert. So if you don't want to know what it actually is, I'm just about to tell you, because to be honest with you, I found it a bit of a letdown. It turns out that these monsters and all these creatures are in this lad's head. They're in this man's head. He was born with a psychic power. We know that much I've figured out. And he was always able to basically know when people were going to die, etc., etc. And he went around saving different people for different reasons. But at the end, you find out that all the monster and the alien under the thing, he's created them all himself in his mind. He's bringing them to life. He's the one who's fighting against his own monsters. And I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest with you. I can only give it 2 out of 5, that one. Dean Koontz Cold Fire. I thought there was going to be a lot more to it, and it turns out to just be basically a bloke having a mental breakdown sort of thing. He locked himself in his head and created all these stories because of an incident that happened to him in his childhood that you don't find out about until right near the end, literally 40 pages from the end. So yes, it was all right, and it kept me going for a bit, but it's not one I would highly recommend, and I would only give it 2 out of 5, and that is Dean Koontz Cold Fire. My second book is actually the third in a trilogy. Now, anybody who's got Netflix will know of a series on there called Mr. Mercedes, and this is what the books are based on. There's Mr. Mercedes, Finders, Keepers, and End of Watch. And there's a 4th one coming out called Holly, which I'm really looking forward to. That doesn't come out yet, and I want it in paperback to go with my other paperbacks. Now, End of Watch, basically, in Mr. Mercedes, spoiler alert, so if you don't want to know what happens in Mr. Mercedes, don't listen. In Mr. Mercedes, a man who's basically obsessed with suicide decides that he's going to wait until all these people are gathered for this job convention and drive a great big massive Mercedes through them and kill as many of them as he can. Anyway, the story in Mr. Mercedes is blah blah blah. Copper comes along with a woman who's basically very sheltered. She lives a sheltered life because her mother treats her like she's a head case, even though all it is she's just got mental health issues, you know. She's just got problems. She's got autism or something. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, that's this Holly Gibney. Now, in the first book, she comes into it, and the detective in it, he basically befriends her, and they become friends, etc., etc. And right at the end, this killer decides he wants to kill even more people. Yeah, he goes into this concert loaded up with C4 explosive in his wheelchair. He wants to die. He isn't bothered about that, and he's going to detonate it at this music concert with all these young girls and some teenage lads there, some group called Right Here or somebody, or Round Here, I think it is. Anyway, he gets thwarted. This Holly whacks him with this thing called Happy Slapper, which is basically just a sock full of ball bearings, and puts him in a coma. So we forget about him then, right? He's in a coma. There's nothing anybody can do. It ends. That book does there. The second book is linked, but not linked. A person who got maimed when this Mercedes killer ran over them in this thing. It's about their family and their story. So I'm not going into that because I'm not reviewing that book. It's the third book, is called End of Watch. Now basically Hodges, who's the detective, he's retired and etc, etc. Now him and this Holly have made a detective, a sort of agency thing called Finders Keepers. You know, they track down people who trip bail and all that sort of stuff. But this Brady Hartsfield, who did all the killings in the first one, he's now started to come around from this coma, but he's pretending he hasn't come around from it. but the detective knows there's something not quite right. Now add into this zappit machines, which are basically little consoles with a fishing game on there with loads of fish swimming around, and he basically gets these, he basically uses his mind to control the zappits, to get people to watch them, to get hypnotized, to commit suicide, because he was called the Suicide King. He didn't like because he was a Suicide King. But he also finds out that while he's doing this, he can also get into people's minds and walk out of the hospital as someone else. Now it all boils down to a big showdown between Holly Gibney, the detective, this Brady Hartsfield, who's literally is not a full shilling in a million years, and he set all these zappit consoles to basically cause all these children to commit suicide, and it's basically about the detective stopping them. Now you've got that story going, but as well at the same time you find out the detective is not good. He's got pancreatic cancer and he hasn't got long to live. So as well as the story of the thriller going on, you've also got this bit of a heart-wrenching story of how this Holly is going to cope once this Hodges is gone, because he's her life basically. He is the love of her life because she's never known anybody like him. I'm not being love as in sleeping together love, I'm not on about that. I mean, she's 40, he's like 66, 67 or something. There's never any romance between them at all. But there's an underlying love there. You can feel it in every page of the book. Now, what I particularly like about this book is it doesn't set out to just happy endings, because this is Stephen King. He doesn't do every single book with a nice happy ending. Oh, and along comes a cure and the detective will be absolutely fine. That doesn't happen. It's quite a sad ending, but a happy one in some other ways. But it's a sad ending. It's one of those endings that you just think, wow, didn't see that coming. But you do see it coming because he leads you down a nice path. He takes you through this journey of this sort of detective. But because it starts at his life after he's finished as a detective, that's what makes it good, you see, because he can't keep going and checking on police computers. He can't go down and check with the phone system and the DA and all this sort of stuff. He's not allowed to because he's no longer a policeman. But this Holly Gibney, she's also quite a bit of a brain, a bit of a genius. Now adding to this, they've got a friend, a coloured guy called Jerome Robinson, and his sister Barbara. And I think, because obviously I read the fourth instalment of these books, and I can't remember what the bloody hell it's called. I think it's If It Bleeds. I think it is If It Bleeds, yeah. I read the fourth one, which I didn't realise these other three were to do with. I read If It Bleeds solo on its own, never knowing who Holly Gibney and the detective and all this. I didn't know who anybody was in it. But they're all one big group of people. Now, I know that this Holly now is keeping Finders Keepers going, and she's going to try and, I think she'll get involved in something else that's supernatural, because this is Stephen King. He doesn't do your run-of-the-mill, I'm going to stab you, then I'll get caught by a detective. I would give this 5 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it. I don't think it's long-winded. I think it's a brilliant page-turner. I think I read it in 2 or 3 days, and that's when I had time. And I reckon it is a brilliant, brilliant book. And I've enjoyed the entire trilogy. The second one was a bit of a, I don't know, it felt more like a filler book, if you like, where you couldn't think of what to do with the characters from the first one, so you thought you'd chuck them in something else on the second. But it's still good, don't get me wrong, it's still good. But if I had to give them in order, I'd give 5 for the first one, 3 for the second, and 5 for the third, because I think they are that good. And If It Bleeds, if we're going to go into details, I'd give that 5 as well, because I really enjoyed that. And I cannot wait for Holly. The only trouble is it's only on pre-order for hardback at the moment. I want the paperback. So those are my book reviews. Now the next book reviews I do, one is going to be from a place called NetGalley. NetGalley. And it's called The Haunting of Burns Road. And I'll be doing a review for that one. It's a unknown author, I don't know who it is. I've got this book and I'm going to read it. I'm going to do an honest and frank review. I've read about 20% so far and I'm enjoying it. It's not a bad book at all. So I'll do a full review on my next vlog, and I'll have probably read a couple more books then, because I want to read Dean Koontz's Katie Mangan book. Katie Mangan. God, that's a friend of ours whose birthday it is today. Sorry, Katie, I've just included you on my vlog. No, there's a woman who's a detective called Katie something. I can't remember her name exactly, but it's Katie something. The only reason I've just said Katie Mangan is because it was a birthday today and I wished her happy birthday on Facebook earlier. But this book is not about her. It's a detective anyway, and it's Dean Koontz books. Katie Maguire, I think her name is Katie Maguire. That's why I got it mixed up. So them will be my book reviews for next time. Coming up next, what have I been doing? You wouldn't believe it in a million years. Now, what has this idiot been up since he last spoke to you? Well, I'll tell you what he did, I'll tell you what this fool did. This fool decided that his ears were going a bit funny and he couldn't hear much. So he decided he'd use some some bamboo earbuds. Only he pushed it in too far. And when he pulled the earbud out, the cotton wool was missing. So me panicked. Didn't know what to do. Weren't sure whether some of the stick was still on the cotton bud or what, because they were bamboo. Anyway, didn't know what to do, went up to the accident and emergency. They said the waiting list was 5 hours because it was a Saturday night, like an idiot. I picked Saturday night to do something stupid, me. Anyway, I'm waiting there for 4 hours and they see me. They have a look in, and I think the first guy who saw me, the first dude, wasn't an ENT, and he pushed it, I think he's pushed it further in. Now, I went last Thursday up again because he said they couldn't remove it there and then. They wanted me to come back in a few days' time, because they were that busy, really. I think they were that busy, to be honest. Anyway, on last Thursday, I went. A guy called Wayne I saw, who was an ENT, in case you owned an ear, nose and throat specialist, basically. And he had a look at my ear. Couldn't see anything, too much wax build up. I'm not ashamed of that. Wax builds up in people's ears all the time, and you can't clean it out. It's almost impossible. So he suggested going home for 7 days, putting olive oil in it for 7 days, twice a day, 15-minute interval, 15-minute bouts sort of thing. So Deb's been doing that for me. And then I've got to go back again this Thursday, and hopefully then I'll get to see it removed, because I haven't listened to any music for a while, because I'm sorry if I'm shouting, I don't mean to be, but I can't hear much in my right ear. So it's a bit tricky. The amount of times Deb's had to tell me I'm shouting, because I can't tell I'm shouting, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that was my idiot thing. Amazing, isn't it? Now, as you can see, I've been doing jigsaws, I've been watching me football, I've been enjoying me Italian football, I've been watching Liverpool, who literally give me a heart attack every time they play now, I swear. But I've also written some more of my second novel. Fanfare. Alright, no fanfare. Yeah, I've also written some parts of my second novel now, so I've written about 13 or 14 A4 pages so far. So my second novel, I'm back writing again. The flow's there. I've written 2 new poems. If you want to see what they are, go onto my Facebook wall. That's where they are. I wrote one called Rise, which is all about not letting people get you down, not letting situations get you down, being who you are. Don't be afraid of who you are, obviously, unless you're a serial killer, which is different. What I'm saying is, don't let problems and don't let people make you feel small or make you feel as if you've got something wrong with you when you haven't. When you haven't. Be yourself. You will rise. No matter how hard they put you down, you will rise, mate. That was the first one. And the second one I just called When Lionesses Roar, and if you're an England fan, you'll know what that's about. The women's England football team took part in the World Cup this year, and they did absolutely fantastically, and they got beaten by Spain in the final 1-0. They did brilliant. I couldn't be more proud of them if I tried. I'm a massive England fan, and I think England women's football team are better than the men's. I really do. I don't care if somebody's going to slate me for that, they can. I think the way they play, with the passion that they play. The first game they played, I thought they wouldn't get past the group stages because they played dreadful. But I think they were acclimatising because it was in Australia and New Zealand. And if you think of what it's like over there compared to the UK, totally different. And we played Haiti, so everybody thought, oh, 6-0, 7-0, 5-0, 8-0. We won 1-0 and it was a penalty. But we carried on winning, and it was only in the final that we conceded a goal to a bit of a breakaway, but a bit of a mistake by us by leaving a position empty at the back. Our right back went forward, didn't get back in time, we got punished. But the thing, what I'm going to say to you is, what's caused more controversy is at the end of the match, when they go up to get the medals, etc., etc., a guy from the Spain people, he actually grabbed one of the women, well, grabbed her, you can see him, he's got his hands on her face like that, pulls her towards him and kisses her full on the lips. Now, this has caused more controversy than anything I've ever seen in football, People are asking him to leave. There's footballers saying they'll never play for Spain again while he's there. He's saying he isn't going to resign. It's blown up like, oh, it's unbelievable. All this from a kiss. Now, I'm not saying it isn't worth it, because it is. Because I'm sorry, you cannot just, because you're happy, stop a random woman and kiss her on the street, or kiss her when she's bloody walking past you. It's sexual assault, no matter what anybody says. It might only be a kiss, but it's still sexual assault. She has not said to you, kiss me, darling, or give me a kiss or anything. He's just literally planted a kiss smack on her lips. And I'm sorry, but if somebody did that, if you were walking down the street with your wife and some bloke walked past and he just randomly kissed her on the lips, what would you do? Would you stand there and go, very nice one, mate? Of course you wouldn't. You go absolutely ape. You go absolutely ape. Anyway, it's all blown up at all proportions, and it's gone all over the mental. Now people are going demented over it, and hopefully it will get resolved this week. But I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on it. Now, as I said before, Liverpool have been giving me an heart attack nearly every game. So far we've played 3 games. We played 1 against Chelsea and we drew 1 each, which is fair enough. It was a curtain opener. It was the first game of the season for us. Not a problem. Second game we won 3-1 at home. Now that was after having a man sent off, but that was rescinded because he shouldn't have been a red card in a million years. What the referee thought he was doing, I do not know, but 4 days later it was rescinded. We won 3-1. The third game, we played Newcastle on Sunday, and I predicted 2-0 to Newcastle, because Newcastle are playing some fantastic football, and they've signed a brilliant midfielder called Tonali from AC Milan. He's brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant. I was absolutely gutted when I saw that they got him and we hadn't. Anyway, we played them, and they went 1-0 up. Then we had a man sent off, Virgil van Dijk. It's dubious. I mean, I've seen it 55 times, and he might have just brushed his toe before he got the ball. So I can understand why it was given. I'm not arguing with that. But all the way through that game, after being 1-0, they had chance after chance, and they couldn't put them away. Our goalkeeper pulled off some absolutely world-class saves. One he saved from a volley from Almiron from Newcastle was absolutely out of this world. How he got to it and pushed it onto the post, I've no idea. So on comes the substitutes in the second half, and the first ones we brought on were Diogo Jota and Harvey. Yeah, Harvey in midfield. We brought him on as well, and he came on, and they turned the game round because we started having more control of the midfield. We started playing some really good football, but we still couldn't do much until we brought on Darwin Núñez in the 80th minute. Now, we brought him on, and within 5 minutes he'd scored, and within another 10 minutes he'd scored the winner. And we ended up winning 2-1 from being 1-0 down and 10 men. And we turned it round to win 2-1. So we've now got 7 points from 9, which I'm not complaining about. I'm not complaining about at all. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been watching Italian football as well. Not much, eh? What do we have? The final word. No idea yet. But you'll see it in a bit anyway. So you've had me Jigsaw gallery, you've had me unboxing, you've had me what I did since I last spoke to you, and you've had me book reviews. It's all been good so far. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching anyway. Coming up, my last word. Just before I go into my last word, I'll show you a present that I had for my birthday off my wife. Hey, I can't wait, watch this. I don't know whether you will read that because of the light shining on it, but it is a 50th anniversary edition of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, the motion picture. Anybody who doesn't know who Ziggy Stardust is shouldn't be watching me vlogs, really. David Bowie, one of his alter egos from the 70s. He was absolutely brilliant. He was out there completely. It was wild. It was colourful, it was zany, his music was absolutely mad. But this is the 50th anniversary edition, and my wife's managed to pick it up for me for my birthday. It was a late present, and it's got the Blu-ray of the entire movie and 2 CDs of the music as well, so I'm looking forward to watching that. Final word today, I suppose it's to do with the Rise thing, the poem that I wrote. I'm a member of a group called Let's Speak Men's Mental Health. Now, in case you're thinking that's sexist, it isn't. Men need a group as well as women need a group, like Mum's Net, etc, etc. Anyway, Let's Speak Men's Mental Health is there for all men with all sorts of problems. And I don't just mean like gambling addiction or anything like that. I mean anything that's going on in their life that's going wrong. It could be losing a job, losing a parent. It could be an addiction. It could even just be an argument that they've had with the partner and they're not sure what to do about it. Or maybe somebody's been violent, or they know something that's happened and they can't get it off the chest. Now let's speak men's mental health has helped me deal with a few issues, and I've also seen and helped other people deal with their issues by leaving comments and giving advice, etc. Because everybody should be there for everybody else, really. I don't see it as being, oh well, maybe I should stop talking because I don't know what I'm on about, sort of thing. Anybody's opinion is valued, and because of that, men speak out about their problems, and I've seen stories on there which have literally almost drove me to tears. And all I keep thinking is, Luke, I've been in situations where I've been suicidal. I've been in situations where I've just thought, I've had enough, that's it, game over. I didn't mind if I'd have walked in the road and got hit by a bus, I wouldn't have cared. I was at my lowest. I was writing dark poetry about suicide, about death, about welcoming death and all this sort of thing. And didn't realise that at the end of all this turmoil and all this torture, there was going to be a light for me, you know, a light I could walk into that would suddenly brighten up my life. But it happened. It happened because I kept rising. I kept saying, no, there's more to me than this. There's more to my life than this. I can be more than this. And I think that's what's important. You've got to look at yourself and know your own worth. Yes, you might feel worthless at the time you're reading or you're going through all this lot, but you're not worthless. You are not worthless. You realise your own worth, and then you can be worth whatever you want to be made. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not some sort of rich guy with loads of money and I can go out and buy whatever I want, whenever I want, nothing like that. Not a chance, not a chance in hell, mate. Pay me bills, got me roof over my head, pay me rent, pay me food. And then if there's anything left over, buy a book or buy a jigsaw. We're not well off, we're not rich by any stretch of the imagination. So it's not sort of like I'm preaching to the lower class or something daft. I am the lower class, you know. I am lower than working class because I don't work. I am a disabled person who basically has lived most of his life on benefits through no fault of his own. I mean, when I left school, I have no idea this was going to be my life. I was speaking to my wife the other day and I said it's marvellous looking back. When I left school, I wanted to be a computer programmer, a proper computer programmer, writing C code and doing games and being one of these people who work in the gaming industry, having a really good career and stuff like that. And fate took me other ways. I had accidents, I wasn't able to get the qualifications I needed, I couldn't get back into college, I hadn't got the money to go for courses and stuff like this, so I turned to creative writing. Because I will say, because people have told me I am, so I'm not going to deny it, I'm a good writer. I know how to put empathy into poetry. Some of my poems, I've had people say to me, you know, wow, the tears and how you get the feeling in them and everything. It's not just words. Because the other thing about this last word, it wasn't originally going to be rise, it was originally going to be AI. And the reason AI is because I'm a creative person. I do a lot of creative stuff. I write poetry, I write books, I do my own stuff, right? I do my own stuff. I don't get no computer to do it for me. It's all me. Now, when I write a poem, part of me is in that poem. Part of my feelings, part of my emotions, part of my mind, part of my heart is in that poem. When I write a story, I write it from the heart, I write it from my head, I write it from all that is me. I saw something the other day which shocked me, where you can actually go onto a screen, type in the story that you want, and an artificial intelligence author will write the story for you. Any style you want. You could go on and say, I want a Tom and Jerry cartoon writing, the full script in Shakespeare style, and it would do it. And there's places where you can go where you can put in what you want. And I did it the other day because I just wanted to see what it did. I put futuristic Scooby-Doo, and these 4 images come up of Scooby-Doo in the future with like VR headsets on and all this, with all futuristic lines behind it and everything. And I thought, well, surely that's taking away the creativeness from people, because all they're going to do is, instead of being creative, they're just going to be able to go on and get a computer to do it all for them. They're going to say, excuse me, I want this, this and this, can you do it for me? They're not going to have no input at all, and I think it's going to rob the world of a lot of creative people. And it's also going to make people fakes, because they're going to make out that they've printed these prints, or they've written this story, or they've done this poem, and they won't have done. It'll have been an artificial intelligence that's done it. And I can see why the actors are going on strike, and you know, why the actors and screenwriters have gone on strike in America. Because at the end of the day, we're replacing a lot of things with AI. Now, it's got its uses, don't get me wrong. AI is fantastic for things like medical research. It's brilliant. Or things have come on bundles because of AI. They've been able to do so many advancements, it's incredible. But give it its place. AI should be for scientific stuff. You know, I get fed up now of going into too many shops and finding there's nobody on the till. They're all self-serve. And I think, well, surely that's robbing people of the jobs, that's robbing people of the lives. Because if you, say, go in college or whatever and you want a Saturday job, working in a supermarket, soon you won't be able to, because it's all going to be done self-serve. You're not going to get a job in there at all. You're not going to get a job stacking shelves, are they? They'll probably get some robot do that soon. So while the rise thing's there, the AI thing was also there, so I was sort of mixed as to what I was going to talk about. But really, honestly, stay positive and know your worth, know exactly what you're worth. And if you know your worth, no matter what life throws at you, you'll brush it aside and say, I'm going to keep going. Because it would take padlocks and anchors and chains to stop me from going forward, I'll tell you that now. I'll keep going forward until the day I'm no longer able to go forward. But by that time that comes, I'll be dead, I'll be gone. I won't be here no more. That's the only time I'll stop trying to be myself. So, thank you for watching. I'm glad I hope you've enjoyed the vlog, I really do. And there'll be a lot more to follow. I'm sorry I've left it 6 to 7 weeks, but I just I've not been in the mood to do vlogs. I really haven't. I've just been a little bit low, but nothing major. And I'm back now anyway. I'm back with a vengeance. So you all take care, and I'll do another vlog soon. Bye for now.